So the book I chose for the book club is Power of Habit. So just to begin, the whole book is built off of the loop. What is the loop? Loop is a cue, routine, and reward. That is the loop. That is what this entire book is about. All three of those together make habits. Habits are important because they do allow our brains to save energy and size for other things. They did have a person here, Eugene Polly. He had brain damage. Eugene could function almost normally without a memory due to his habits. He was also able to build new habits over time because part of his brain that was damaged was the more outside. His basal ganglia, which is more near the center of the brain, was kept intact. So as long as you have that center of your brain, you're good to go pretty much. And let's see here. It is one of the most ancient and central parts of the brain, so we can probably trace that back to our primate ancestors. But brain activity is much lower when executing the routine part of the habit loop. The more you do things, the less brain activity is needed. They called this chunking, the brain process of converting a sequence of actions into an automatic routine. They found this and they discussed it mostly in the book with rats. So they had a little maze. It was very simple. It was like the shape of a T. But what they did was they had a little piece of chocolate at the end of the maze. They would click a button, which was the rat's cue. Rat would run the maze, get the reward, which was the chocolate. In the beginning, they found the brain activity was pretty high for the first couple of times, but the more and more and more they did it, the less brain activity was needed for the rat to get the chocolate. So Cloud Hopkins, he was a very successful man of advertising, and he did help out a toothpaste company called Pepsodent. So what he did was he did implement this cue. I'm sorry, this the cue routine and reward. How he did that was his advertisements. First thing they said was lick your teeth, and more than likely people would lick their teeth, so they would lick their teeth. If you feel a film over it, that means it's time to brush your teeth. And so that was the cue, is lick your teeth. If there was a film, routine was to brush your teeth. The reward was clean teeth. Similar thing with Febreze here. Till this day, it is still a product that people use today, so we can see how successful it is. But the success is in the reward of a clean job well done. Now, Febreze was originally odorless and marked as a way to get rid of bad smells. It didn't actually have a smell of its own, but nevertheless, it did work. So both of those very successful companies. Julia the monkey. That's a study that they had in the book. Basically, this monkey built a routine of it would just pull a lever and it would just give him blackberry juice from pulling a lever, and it very simple. They found similar results as they did with the rats. In the beginning, the level was spiked, like the amount of brain activity needed was very high. Once he got the reward, it did spike. He there were I forget the chemicals, but his brain activity spiked, saying, "I got the reward." What they found, though, that was unique to the monkey was that it began craving that reward. And we can see this in humans as well. But um, so much so, the anticipation of the reward caused activity spike so much and it craved it so much that the monkey ignored distractions. It was set on just getting blackberry juice. So, another good thing. Now, the golden rule of habit. So, the golden rule of habit change: keep the same cues and rewards, but replace the routines. So, this could be seen by Paul O'Neill. He did this, he implemented this inside the workforce. Essentially, he wanted to make it a safer environment. So, he implemented if you saw anything unsafe, you'd report that to a supervisor. And because of that, you got a promotion. So, you got the cue, something unsafe, or seeing something unsafe, the routine. tell a supervisor, the reward, the promotion. You can do the same thing by laying this out with weight loss. You go ahead and you can write. They did suggest in here just food journals. You write it out. What you see, your cue is you're hungry. Your routine, you can you lay out the routine by writing out the food journal. You see what your routine is, what you eat. You can change that routine. The reward is still the same. You get uh, fed. That's a good way to put it. All right. All right. So organizational habits need to form a truce between different parties to be effective. This is particularly true. They did show inside Rhode Island hospital nurses had no power or equal footing with doctors. That was pretty bad. The result was doctor arrogance and nurse inability to say anything or stop procedures caused many surgeries where the wrong side of the patient was operated. That's just an example of a bad habit, if you will. So it was just habit that they don't say anything. It's resulted in the death of an 86-year-old man, as I mentioned in the book. Um, but yeah, basically, it may seem like organizations make rational choices based on deliberate decision making, but it's not true. Rather, organizational habits drive firms and they emerge from thousands of independent employee decisions. So, what propels a firm to keep going, whether that be a hospital or just a school or anything like that, is routines. These routines could be made up, helped by everybody to make up these routines. And that's what propels a company, a firm, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. All right. So it does the end of this book. Now, I really did like this book. I'll be honest. It gave me a fresh perspective and it's very informative. I'm literally condensing this so much. There's just so much in the book, but I got to end this. I can't make it over five. I'm trying to keep it under 5 minutes, but you know. Um, so this book, it ends with some advice. So at the end of the day, it just starts off. There's only how strong your willpower is only so much. It's gonna fail. It's bound to fail. So we're gonna fall back into bad habits. It is important though to make the second mistake. Think of this as reprogramming. Once you make that mistake, your brain can reprogram itself to do as James Clear would say inside the book, the what the hell effect. Leave these slip ups. Bottom line, don't stress them too much. If you're trying to fix a habit, whether that be smoking or whatever, uh, don't stress too much about you falling back into old habits. It's a good thing. It's readjusting your brain. Is creating a what the hell effect. So it's really not failure. They say in the book that it's quote it's experimentation. So that think of it as like a computer reprogramming itself. That's that's our brains are artificial computers basically. All right, and it should be set here. All right, and other than that, yeah. So the book, very good book again. It does leave that message. Don't be afraid to slip up sometimes. It's part of breaking a habit, but the main takeaway is the loop. If you can find out what the cue is, what your routine is, and the reward, try to figure out the cue and reward from there. If you're able to get the same reward and yet take away the routine, whether that be smoking and in some way, just relaxing. If relaxing's the reward and smoking's the routine, there are different ways to relax. Is essentially the big key takeaway. So again, the loop is the main part of this book. The cue, routine, and reward. You keep that in mind. That's basically the premise of this book.